As large as this scale list is, it probably doesn't contain every scale you may ever need. Fortunately, this list and the scales are easy to edit. In this lesson, we'll learn how to create a custom scale. On my screen, I have a surveying example. This drawing represents a platted survey. Since it is a survey drawing, if we take a look at the drawing units, you'll see that the model space units are set to feet. Now I've already created a layout for this drawing. I'm going to click the Layout tab to take a look. If I zoom in, you can see the geometry is being represented at a scale of 1 inch equals 50 feet. If I pan this over, you can see that the entire drawing really doesn't fit in the layout. So I'd like to change the scale. To do that, I'm going to double click in the viewport. I'll come down and make sure it's unlocked. If I open the scale, the only real option I have after 50 scale is 100. And if I select 100, that's quite small. It would really be nice if I had a 1 to 60 option here. Let's create one. To do that, I'm going to come down and click and hold down this arrow to scroll to the bottom of the list. I'll then select Custom. This brings up the Edit Drawing Scales dialog box. From here, I'd like to add a scale. I'll then give it a name. I'll type 1:60. This is a name that will appear in the scale list. Down at the bottom is where I will assign the actual scale. Currently the scale is 1 paper unit or inch equals 1 drawing unit or feet. Since I want this to be 1 inch equals 60 feet, I will change the drawing units to 60. When I'm finished, I'll click OK. My scale now appears in the list. I can then use the Move Up and Move Down buttons to reorder the scales. I'm going to be tidy. I'll move my 60 scale right after the 50. Since this is selected, you can see a representation of the scale down below. If I select some of the others, you can see how they compare to the scale I created. In the event you'd like to create an architectural scale, remember that architects work such that their model space units are inches. So if the scale was 1/2 inch equals a foot, the true drawing scale is 0.5 paper units or 1/2 inch equals 12 drawing units. There is 12 inches in a foot. Knowing this, 1/4 inch equals a foot is 0.25 paper units equals 12 drawing units. 1/8 inch equals a foot is 0.125 equals 12. You can use the same system to create any custom architectural scale. Now that I'm finished, I'm going to click OK to close the dialog box. I'll then open the scale list and I'll select my new scale. Let's pan the drawing down. It looks like this will work perfectly. So I'm going to double click outside the viewport boundary. I'll pan the drawing up and we'll change the scale text here. I'll then do a zoom extents and then we'll jump back to model space. Now let's take care of all the annotations. If I open the annotation scale list, you'll see my new scale appears here as well. I'm going to select it. I'll then go to the Annotate tab and I'll open the Annotation Scaling panel and I'll choose Add Current Scale. I'll then select all of my geometry and press Enter. Now I need to get rid of the unnecessary 50 scale versions. So I'll change the scale to 150. We'll go back to the Annotation Scaling panel and I'll select Delete Current Scale and I'll select the entities. When finished, I'll return to the Layout tab. So when it comes to the viewport scales or annotation scales for that matter, there are no limits. In the event the scale you want isn't listed in the menu, AutoCAD makes it easy to create a custom scale to suit any need.